All right. So question number 2. Why are you doing this? Why do you preach? Okay. So definitely not because mas magaling ako sa iba or because mas madami akong alam sa Bible versus everybody else or because I'm more righteous or because I'm holier or stuff like that. Definitely not. And I'm just putting it out there because those are some of the many things that I got falsely accused of dati. And I could not blame them din naman kasi admittedly, may mali din ako. Okay? So, I was a lot younger. I was a lot more, gigil and on fire and zealous of the Bible and of the truth that hindi ko na namamalayan yung how, yung manner ng pagka-handle ko ng mga questions or ng discussion. So they blurted those things out of their anger at me. So yun. Okay? But definitely not the reasons why I preach. Okay? So in terms of my Bible knowledge, just like what I said, um, wala akong education in any Bible school. Wala akong degree from any Bible school. So definitely I do not know all of the Bible yet. You know? Hanggang ngayon, may mga questions pa din sa Bible na hindi ko pa kayang sagutin. And I would, gladly admit to that. Totoo din naman. Okay? So that's why I still have my mentors who still keep on guiding me. I still study continuously because I still have so much to learn. Ang dami ko pang hindi alam, no? So, but going back to my point, that's not the reason why I'm preaching na because mas madami akong alam sa Bible. No, not at all. And regarding my person naman, um, in fact, kung si Jesus yung pagkabigay niya ng utos bago siya bumalik ng langit, Mark 16:15-16, kung ganito lang yung pagkabigay niya ng utos, hey, if you are super righteous and super holy, then you are qualified to go and preach the gospel to every creature. Kung ganyan lang yung pagkasabi ni Jesus, na nag-specify siya ng qualification kung sino ang pwede mag-preach, bagsak ako. I'm disqualified. Not, I do not feel worthy at all in partaking of this noble work, to be honest. Because in the past, my old self, I've done so many terrible, selfish, and shameful things na kung ako lang, ayoko nang ma-recall even. I don't want to think about those. Kung pwede lang, I don't want to talk about those. Kung pwede ko lang ma-meet yung younger self ko, pwede ko siyang hmm, sabihan ko siyang, ano ba kasi nakain mo, Jay, nung mga panahon yun? Ba't mo ba nagawa yun? Alam mo yun? Because there's a lot of regret, there's a lot of remorse, um, and shame of all those things that I did. And I think tayong lahat naman merong ganun eh. So that's definitely not the reason why I'm preaching. Not because I am more holy or more righteous than everybody else. No, I'm a work in progress. Ang dami ko pang struggles hanggang ngayon na I still keep praying to God that He'll give me the strength so that I can overcome. You have struggles, I have struggles. So that's not my reason for doing this. Nung sinulat ni Paul, yung 1 Timothy 1:15, nung sinabi niya na Jesus came into the world to save sinners, of which I am chief, tagus sa akin yun. I totally resonate to that verse. It's like that verse speaks about me. Dahil sa ganyan nga yung tingin ko sa old self ko eh. Yung ang sobrang dumi-dumi ko, kakadiri, nakakahiya, ganun. So I totally feel that verse. So you see, that's not the reason why I preach. Because I do not preach because I have more knowledge of Bible. I do not preach because I am more holy or more righteous than anybody else. No, not at all. Partly, it's because I want to maximize this technology, this internet. I'm a firm believer that even these things are part of God's providence so that we can further His gospel pa. You know, marami pang makakadinig ng kanyang good news. So that yung tao, it's wala nang magiging reason na, Lord, ano ba yung gospel? Ano ba yung salvation? Ano ba yung Jesus? Ano ba? Para wala na silang reason na ganyan. So God allowed for these developments, for these opportunities na ganito. And I'm taking advantage of that, Um, as you can see sa ating socials, we're posting more of the text-based and image-based content, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just thought that I would want to take advantage of the video format naman so that you can see me talking, you can see me answer your questions, make it more personal. Alam mo yon, it's as if I'm just beside you, talking with you, because kung pwede lang, na face-to-face tayo, I'll be there in person to talk to you and explain to you things. I would love to do that. But if not, then, we do have the internet, di ba? So yeah, partly why I'm doing this is because I want to take advantage of this blessing that God provided us. But let's go to the more meatier, more meatier. Let's go to the meatier reasons why I am doing this, why I am preaching. If we read 1 Timothy 1:15, Mark 2:17, Mark 16:15 to 16, the point of those verses is this: Jesus came into the world to save sinners, and then his command is so that yung mission niya to save sinners can still be continued through preaching. We do not see Jesus now physically with us, but the point of preaching is so that he can continue his saving mission towards the lost, towards the sinner, through the preaching. Okay? So that's my reason number one, because there is a command. And if there's a command, of course, the one commanded is obliged to obey that command. Now, baka mamaya sabihin niyo naman, so for compliance lang pala, bakit ka nagpe-preach, Jay? Not exactly. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there is a command and you have to obey that command. Okay? But with regards to preaching, for you to be able to effective at doing that, you also need, for you to be able to endure in carrying out that mission, you need more than just compliance. You need a loving heart. And for you to have a loving heart, you need to understand the condition or the consequences if you do not, do that. And that's exactly what my next reason is. If you read Luke chapter 16, verses 26 to 28, 29, and then 2 Thessalonians 1, 7 to 8, the whole point is that if you read those verses, after death, your eternal destiny is final. Suffering is final. So, if namatay ka and you open your eyes and you see flames, if you read those verses that I just said earlier, there's no transferring. Wala nang, dadasalan ka ng madami para mailipat ka dun sa kabila. Wala nang ganyan mangyayari. Okay, so after death, your eternal destiny is final, suffering is final, and I do not want that to, for any of my family members, for any of my relatives, for any of my friends, neighbors, workmates. I do not want that for anybody. And that is why I preach, to remind them of the permanence of death, to remind them of the finality of death, and therefore that the gospel is urgent and it has to be obeyed now kasi we are not promised tomorrow. Diba? You have seen all the news sa social media, bigla-bigla na lang, nag-landslide, bigla-bigla nang tinamaan ng kidlat, bigla-bigla na lang binaril. We are not promised tomorrow. And, 20 years of your life of YOLO, ipapalit mo sa eternity ng torment and torture. That's not a very smart gamble. But that's my reason number 2. And my next reason is, if you read Matthew chapter 22 verse 29, Matthew chapter 7 verses 21 to 23, Hosea 4:6, Matthew chapter 15 3 to 9, Mark 7 verses 6 to 13, it all has to do with ignorance, ignorance and tradition. So people who have zero knowledge of the scriptures, or people who have some knowledge of the scripture pero inadequate, insufficient, and then we have human traditions. So I preach because this is my prevention plan. All of these errors, mistakes, wrong beliefs, wrong teaching, wrong practices, all of these have one root, and that is zero or lack of knowledge of the scriptures. Kaya mali-mali. Okay? And, it misinformation, all because of the influence of sin, because of the influence of false doctrine. Kaya maraming tao ngayon na iba na yung perception nila sa Bible. Parang iba na yung reaction nila ba pag you start talking about the Bible, iba na yung kanilang receipt sa Bible, no? May mga iba parang to the point na nandidiri pa, because of the misinformation. And that is why I made it a goal to educate, to clarify, and to correct. Because, the Bible, the preaching, if you read the story of the rich man and Lazarus, preaching is the solution for avoiding eternal torment. Because it is in the preaching that you get to know how to avoid that eternal torment. Okay? Ang problema ito, no matter how powerful the Bible is, no matter how powerful the scripture is if yung mga tao is walang believe sa Bible because of these misinformations na nagpapagulo sa kanilang mga isipan, they will never take action. And that is why I preach, to educate them kung ano talaga yung Bible. And once they have more knowledge this time, ganun pala yun, then they get clarified. Their doubts are removed. And then we can correct. And when we are able to correct, then we can now start to be right with God. So that's why I preach. Anyway, si God naman, si Jesus, nagbigay naman siya ng guarantee. John 7:17, sabi niya, if anyone wills to do His will, he shall know concerning the doctrine, whether it is from God or whether I speak on my own authority. That's a guarantee. Pwede naman eh. Gusto mong malaman, ma-verify kung yung narinig mo na doctrine is really from God? Pwede naman eh. Yun yung sabi ni Jesus. Pero why can't people reach that point? Because in the first place, they do not have a comparison. For you to be able to tell a fake money from the legit, genuine money, you would first have to have enough knowledge of the genuine money. Kasi yun yung magiging comparison mo eh. Yun yung magiging standard mo. Paano mo nasabing iba to? Kasi you have a standard. Now, spiritually, scripturally, a lot of people do not have that. That's why they cannot tell. Na mali na pala yung ginagawa nila, and that's where I come in. And that is why I preach. That is why I'm doing this. Next question.